Hi guys, my name is Siobhan Evans-Egan. I'm one of the admins on the International Mediumship page, where it's a group of like-minded people and who are working on their development, either psychic work, medium work, healers, and we just all work together to help each other out to be of service. So I do these videos. Sometimes I used to do them regularly, but life has just taken over. So I wanted to address something today in this video. Firstly, anything I share is only about my own experiences. Okay, so I wanted to talk about certain topics that have come up. Um, I've done videos before about the damage that mediums can do and psychics with their words and information. And now I want to address it in a sense of, if you were practicing readings or even a professional reader, how do you address certain topics that come up? So, how do you address, and this is one of the ones, of medical issues? So, as a reader, we have to be careful in a sense of not planting seeds. But the kind of conflict that happens there is, if our feelings are telling us something and we've an overpowering sense that something is wrong with the person that we're connecting to, how do we go about that? How do we address that? You have to get past, the fear of being wrong, ethics, boundaries, crossing those lines. So how do you deal with that? So if you're a professional reader, I'd love to hear how you deal with this. So you can write in the comments to help other people out. So for example, I have had an auntie, who went to a reader, and the reader told her, you need to go to a doctor to get your liver checked. My aunt was in pain and did end up going to the doctor that week because she was just feeling so unwell, and she went and got it checked, and it turns out that she did have liver cancer. Now, did my aunt already have a feeling and a knowing that something was wrong, and the reader connected in with this and brought it up? Yes. She also went for a reading a little while after that, when the cancer was right through her body. She was told that that's it, there was nothing more to can do. And she went for a reading and she asked about her health. And this particular reader told her that she was perfect health, absolutely nothing wrong with her. So this is shown we can mess up, we can get things really wrong. And I know the fear of that starting out. I know the fear of lack of confidence, the fear of going, oh my God, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I get the wrong thing? What if I, hurt this person? And it's really good to have that awareness of that, and to have that fear, because it will keep you on your toes. Now, not the fear that it will overpower you so much that you won't say anything. It's to have a balance of that. I've had readings where if a person is going to ask you in a reading about their health, you are guaranteed, it's straight out in front of you that there's a concern there. So addressing it and putting the power back in your reader's hands, that's what healers are supposed to do. We're not supposed to be, oh, we're gods, we're guides, we have all this information, and we're the best. That's not true. It's about the person that's coming in to see you for guidance leaves feeling more powerful and more in control of the decisions in which they need to make, or have made, or are going to make. And so it's putting the power back in their hands. So if a person in a reading brings up a concern about their health, it's an alarm bell to go, obviously there's a worry. So your first response is, I'm not a doctor, I cannot diagnose. If you really are concerned about this, please do go to a doctor and do get it checked out. I'm reading over 20 years, professionally probably 10 more, and now it's like I've started from a healing background, so I do feel when a person comes in, but sometimes I don't. I do get this certain feelings in their body, so I know this overpowering feeling to address it. But how I address it, I had a gentleman here last week, and I said, I am not here to cause concern. I am not here to plant seeds of fear. But I said, I do feel a little worried or concerned that you may have around your lungs. Yes, I do, he said. So I'm picking up on what he is already coming in with, is a concern around his body. And when I said to him, I really feel that you need to go see a doctor, his answer was he was a doctor. And that he knew that there was a concern going on in his body, but he's been avoiding it. So this came up because when you're doing psychic work and medium work, you'll always touch off the very first sense of knowing that you work with is it's kind of always the most important thing. So health, medical, addressing this. How do you speak about it? How do you address it? Do you ignore it? Do you talk about it? The other thing that comes up is fertility issues. That's a big thing. If someone's coming and they want to know whether they're going to have children, especially if they haven't had children, how do you address that? How do you work on that? Do you avoid it? I had a lady here last week whose daughter was 27 years of age, terrified of going to a reader now because her last reading, she was in a relationship at that time when she got a reading done, and the reader told her, "You will never have children." She was 27 years of age. She's 27, and that's it. Now she thinks her life is over, her life is gone because she's never going to have children, and it doesn't matter what medium or reader she go to after that. That's done. It's in there, it's planted, it's not changing. So what the reader could have been picking up was the relationship you're in, I don't see children. Because it ended up that 10-year relationship broke down and she didn't have children with the person. So we have to be very careful how we express the information which we're receiving. When I do get people asking about fertility, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. But I work with it now. I'm not afraid of it. If I feel absolutely, I have no idea, I have no idea. So I think it's very important to be really, really honest doing this work. If you don't know, you don't know. Don't waffle and make up bullshit to fill in the gap. You don't know. There was another lady that came in because of her age. She was concerned about having children. And I mean, at this day and age, we don't need men anymore to have children. In a sense, you can go on, there's other technology things, there's loads of different ways in the sense that can be looked after. But this particular lady came and she was getting older and she was kind of going, oh, I can't see it happen. And I was like, why are you shutting down the idea of how a child is going to come to you? It could be through another relationship where the person has children. And she's like, no, no, no. A year later, she came back to her for a reading. She's with a lovely guy over the last year, and she has two stepchildren that she is so close to. So like these things happen. So how do you address that with someone without causing harm? I would love to hear your ideas on how you do talk about these things, because I know from coming from practicing and, working up and years and years and years and years of experience of working in this, you will get more confident, you will get more knowing, you use your knowledge. Receiving a no is probably the best thing that we could get, because if we're wrong, we're wrong, and it allows us to explore that and to understand where we've gone wrong in the information, and not to be afraid to get it wrong, but not to pretend we know. I had another lady who, this was in a platform experience, connected to this other person. She told him, your partner, you need to leave him in front of an audience. You need to leave this man. He's no good for you. The best thing you can do is stay away. Her partner just died. He died a week ago before she got that reading. So it's like, we're not all knowing, guys. We're human beings and we make mistakes, but it's very important to learn through our mistakes and awareness, and to have acknowledgement of ethics and boundaries and moral standards of what we will not cross. The other thing is death. Do we diagnose death? Do we tell the person when someone's going to die? I know many mediums who do, and I know many mediums who do have a natural sense and a natural gift that they actually do pick that up. Me personally, I'm like, I don't want to know that. I do not want to know. I don't cross that line. I had a reading here the other night, and I was asked about her granddad and passing, and first thing I said to her was, I cannot give you the information when your granddad's going to pass. I'm not God. But I can tell you, and I went into a range of things in which were going on around him, and complications and things in which were happening. And that was all taken, and that was satisfactory for her. I went to a woman myself a few years ago, and she told me about two particular people dying, and she was very wrong. They lived for years after that reading. They did die eventually, obviously. They were old and one was very sick, but dates dates that she gave me were wrong. But this particular lady also diagnosed me medically, didn't tell me what the particular diagnosis was, but gave me dates of this illness and times and dates when it was going to happen, and she was 1,000% right. So how do we know? How do we know when to trust ourselves with this information? Like, it is a scary thing being a reader and having the responsibility put upon us of these certain things. But I can tell you, if a person's coming in for reading and you can feel health straight away, then obviously it's significant and it needs to be talked about. But it's how you address it and putting this fear into someone. I recognize sickness because I've experienced it. I feel sickness in my body because I acknowledge and I'm aware of what it feels like. So I am a little bit more sensitive to things like that when people come for readings. So it depends on your experience as a person. If you've gone through illness and you've gone through all this, you might tune into that quicker. But the reason why I'm doing this video is I'd love if you could comment and go, it's not a judgment and this is not to pick and to stand on people, but it's how do you address these things? How do you talk about infertility with someone? How do you talk about abuse with someone? How do you talk about affairs? People having affairs. How do you address this? My husband was told when we first met 13, 14 years ago that I was having an affair, going to have an affair with his best friend. Hasn't happened yet. So, but if my husband was a person who was insecure and had a jealous nature or had these kind of things with him, that's going to cause serious problems and that's going to plant a very big seed into someone's head. So we have to be very careful with our professions here and our responsibilities. I have done videos before about the danger with mediums and the lines we cross, but now this video I want to know, how do you address certain topics that come up in your readings? Death, fertility, infertility, like babies, medical issues, people having affairs, warnings when you need to give a warning. How do you address that? I would love to know, so that we can help each other out, and just make us better and make us better readers. So, but to know that our job is to heal and atone and to put the power back in the reader's hands, that when they're leaving, that they walk out not terrified, not with a seed planted that they're never going to have children again and all this sort of stuff. If you don't see children, okay, you don't see children, but you have to be careful to say that does not mean you're not having children. That just means I may not be open to that information. So how do you protect yourself as a reader when someone asks you these questions? How do you address it? I'd love to know. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.